Welcome to the place where silence breaks and destiny stands up and looks you in the eye with the kind of fire most people will never feel in their entire lives. This is the ground where your old hesitation is buried, where your old fear vanished, where your old doubt finally took its last breath. And now, you stand here with a presence that shakes the room without effort. You stand here with a weight that does not come from noise, but from an inner power you carved out through storms you never told anyone about. You stand here because of that one brutal move you made, the move that nobody expected, the move that changed everything. And now everybody knows you run this path, you own this climb, you guide this journey with a force that can no longer be ignored. In the beginning, nobody believed in your direction. That is always how it starts. People see you trying, but they never see the depth of the reason behind the attempt. They see the steps, but not the scars. They hear the plans, but not the nights you stayed awake rebuilding your spirit when it kept collapsing. They hear your voice, but not the silence you crawled through to find it. They saw the surface and judged the surface. They thought you would stay where you were. They thought you were gentle enough to break. They thought you were waiting for someone to carry you. They did not know the storms you had already walked through barefoot. They did not know the fire you kept inside even when you were exhausted. They did not know who you were becoming, and then you made the move. That one move that looked reckless to people who don't understand pressure. That one move that looked sudden to those who were never watching close enough. That one move that looked bold to the world, but felt necessary to your soul. It was a move that broke a pattern, a move that ended an old version of your life, a move that scared you, but pushed you, a move that did not just change your path, but announced to the world that you were no longer walking, you were rising. Every powerful transformation has that one moment where something inside you stops accepting the limits you once lived within. That one moment where your spirit says enough. That one moment where you decide you will no longer shrink to fit inside expectations that were never made for someone with your potential. That one moment where you walk forward with a new energy and the world finally feels it. You showed them that you are not controlled by fear. You showed them that you do not wait for permission. You showed them that your life is not a negotiation. It is a declaration. People always act surprised when strength reveals itself. They act like power arrives overnight. But you know the truth. Your strength was not born in daylight. It was forged in the dark. It was built slowly, silently, consistently. It was shaped in the moments you thought no one cared about. You learned to push when you were tired. You learned to rise when you felt heavy. You learned to move forward even when your hope was thin. You learned to endure the weight that others ran from. All those moments turned into your new identity. You did not just grow, you outgrew. And now they look at you differently, because now they finally see what you were building all along. They see how your presence has changed. Your eyes are sharper. Your drive is louder without making a sound. Your purpose is stronger. Your patience is deeper. You walk with a kind of confidence that does not need to be spoken. And the best part is you did not become this for applause. You became this because you had to survive. You became this because you refused to stay small. You became this because the fire inside you demanded space. You don't realize who you became. You don't fully see the transformation because you lived it day by day. You carried the weight quietly. You fought the inner battles alone. You rebuilt yourself slowly. You kept going, even when you doubted the path. You were too focused on surviving to notice the power you were developing. But the world sees it. The world feels it. The world reacts to it. People who once overlooked you now hesitate before speaking to you. People who once doubted you now study how you move. People who once underestimated you now replay your decisions in their minds, trying to understand how you did it. They do not understand that it was not luck. It was not perfect timing. It was courage. It was grit. It was the willingness to fall and rise again, even when rising felt impossible. You made a move that required strength that most people never access. You made a move that came from a deeper place than strategy. It came from instinct. It came from necessity. It came from the version of you that refused to be trapped by the limits of the past. Some moves are made by the mind. This one was made by the soul. Now you walk with a different weight. Not the weight of fear, not the weight of doubt. The weight of purpose, the weight of momentum, the weight of earned confidence, the weight of becoming someone who commands their life instead of waiting for life to be kind. You carry yourself like someone who knows how far they have come. You carry yourself like someone who knows they are not done climbing. The world needs people who move with that kind of energy. People who are not afraid to take the bold step when everything inside them shakes. People who break their own barriers. People who refuse to let their past write their future. People who push through the depth of doubt and reach the height of their potential. People like you. Even now you may not fully understand the power you have shown. You may not realize how rare it is. People talk about change, but they avoid the discomfort that leads to it. People talk about growth, but they avoid the solitude required for it. People talk about success, but they avoid the sacrifice behind it. You embraced all of it. You walked straight into the discomfort. You faced the silence. You gave up what needed to be given up. That is why your path looks different now. Every time you doubted yourself, you kept moving. Every time fear whispered to you, you walked forward. Every time your mind questioned your strength, you answered with action. And then came the moment, the shift, the turning point where everything inside you aligned. You felt the push, you felt the clarity, you felt the surge of courage, and you made the move. That move became the message. It told the universe you were ready. It told your past it no longer had control. It told your future you were coming for it with intention and force. It told everyone watching that you were not here to participate. You were here to lead your own story, to define your own path, to stand in your own identity with a power that can no longer be contained. Now, people say you changed. They say you became different. But the truth is you did not change. You returned to the person you were always meant to be, the person buried under doubt, the person overshadowed by fear, the person hidden behind hesitation. You removed the layers that were not yours. You stepped back into your real strength. You don't realize who you became. You became the type of person who wakes up with direction, the type of person who does not run from challenges, the type of person who lifts themselves out of the hard moments, the type of person who carries a fire that pushes forward no matter how heavy the day feels. You became someone who does not break easily. You became someone who rises naturally. Now, every step you take carries power. Not because you try to show power, but because power became the natural expression of your identity. You walk differently because you earn this walk. You think differently because you earn this mindset. You live differently because you survived the version of life that tried to hold you down. This is your moment now, the moment where you look back and see that the struggle was not the enemy. The struggle was the training. The pressure was not the punishment. The pressure was the shaping. The loneliness was not the emptiness. The loneliness was the forging of inner strength. The doubt was not the barrier. The doubt was the test you passed. Now you stand as someone who leads themselves, someone who listens to their inner voice more than the noise around them, someone who chooses their steps with intention, someone who carries discipline, like a second nature. You became someone who refuses to bend under pressure. You became someone built for the next level. And the truth is, people will always react to strength they do not understand. Some will respect it, some will fear it, some will be inspired, some will be threatened. But none of that matters because you did not build yourself for their approval. You built yourself because your spirit demanded evolution. You made the move that changed everything. You made the move that announced your arrival. That is why they look at you differently now. They finally see the depth of who you are. They finally feel the weight of your presence. They finally realize they misjudged you, and now they understand. You guide your path. You own your rise. You run this journey because you created it. You don't realize who you became, but soon you will. And when you do, the world will feel it even stronger. You might think the journey ahead will require a new kind of strength, but the truth is, the strength you already carry is enough to shape every future victory. You built it without applause. You built it without comfort. You built it without shortcuts. And because of that, your foundation is unshakable. You learn to depend on your own fire, and that fire never goes out. You learn to rise from places most people get trapped in, and that rise became your signature. You are not beginning from weakness anymore. You are beginning from power. And that changes everything. There is a moment in every person's life when they finally understand that they can no longer live halfway. They can no longer shrink. They can no longer wait for the right time. Because the right time does not arrive on its own. It is created. It is claimed. It is shaped by the decisions that feel heavy, but necessary. You reached that moment and you did not walk away. You stepped forward. That is what separates you from the version of yourself that used to doubt. That is what separates you from the world around you. You know what it means to rise without waiting. Now your presence speaks before you open your mouth. People feel your energy before they hear your words. They sense your strength because it moved from your actions into your aura. It follows you. It surrounds you. It announces you, not with noise, but with depth, not with pride, but with certainty. You carry the spirit of someone who fought battles within and came out stronger. You carry the calm of someone who does not need to prove anything because their results speak for them. You carry the determination of someone who knows that the future belongs to those who refuse to stand still. The path you walk now is not easier. It is clearer. There is a difference. When your mind is strong and your spirit is steady, you do not fear difficulty. You move through it. You bend the pressure into progress. You take the weight and turn it into fuel. You transform challenges into stepping stones. Your power is not loud. Your power is consistent. Your power is steady. That is why people recognize you now. Not because you tried to be seen, but because you became undeniable, and yet you still do not fully see what you became. You wake up each day still carrying the memory of the old you, the version of you that doubted, the version of you that hoped quietly, the version of you that questioned their place in the world. That shadow is still there, but it no longer controls you. It is simply a reminder of how far you have risen. A reminder that your transformation was not given, it was earned. This is why your story is powerful. You did not wake up and suddenly become strong. You became strong piece by piece, day by day, moment by moment. Strength grew inside you when life pushed harder. Confidence grew inside you when doubt tried to break you. Discipline grew inside you when motivation disappeared. You became someone built from endurance, not from ease. Someone shaped by resilience, not by luck. Someone defined by decisions, not by circumstances. And because of that, Your future looks different now. You walk into rooms with a purpose that cannot be shaken. You take on challenges with a mindset that cannot be broken. You move through life with a clarity that cannot be taken away. You are not trying to survive anymore. You are building. You are expanding. You are evolving. Your journey is no longer about escaping your past. It is about creating your future with intention. People notice it even if they do not say it out loud. They feel the shift in your presence. They see the focus in your eyes. They sense the discipline in your actions. They understand that you are not the same person they once knew. And some of them still try to speak to the old you. But that version is gone. That version grew into the person standing here now. The person who knows what they want. The person who knows how to ride. The person who knows how to keep moving, even when the road becomes heavy. And the most remarkable part is you are still growing. You are still rising. You are still unlocking deeper levels of yourself. You have not reached your peak. You have not reached your final form. You have not reached your full potential. This is only the beginning of what you will become. Your strength is still expanding. Your fire is still building. Your purpose is still sharpening. Every day you rise with a new layer of power. This is why that one move you made changed everything. It was not just an action. It was a declaration that your spirit was done being ignored. It was the moment your future finally recognized you. The moment your destiny turned toward you. The moment the world realized that you were not just participating in life anymore. You were stepping into your role with a force they could not overlook. Now you move through life with a different silence. The silence of someone who is not fighting to be seen. The silence of someone who already knows who they are. The silence of someone who carries certainty like a shadow. And that silence is louder than any words. People feel it because true strength does not shout. True strength stands. You don't realize who you became, but you are becoming someone the world will remember. Someone whose presence shifts the atmosphere. Someone whose actions speak louder than their doubts. Someone whose rise cannot be stopped because it comes from a place deeper than desire. It comes from purpose. You became someone who can handle more than you ever thought possible. Someone who can carry weight without breaking. Someone who can rebuild themselves without applause. Someone who can walk alone without losing direction. Someone who can look fear in the eye and move anyway. You became someone who does not run from responsibility. Someone who does not hide from challenges. Someone who does not freeze in uncertainty. You became someone who steps forward, even when the path is unclear, because you trust the strength you have built within. And soon, you will look back and finally understand the truth. You were never weak. You were never behind. You were never lost. You were preparing. You were evolving. You were gathering everything you needed for the moment you just stepped into. The moment where you finally realize that the person you became is stronger than the person you dreamed of being. You made the move. You made the shift. You made the decision that changed the entire trajectory of your life. And now the world sees you for who you truly are, a force that cannot be overlooked, a presence that cannot be dismissed, a soul that refuses to shrink, a mind that refuses to surrender, a spirit that refuses to fade. You don't realize who you became, but you will. And when you do, the world will feel the full power of your rise. There will come a day when you finally stop questioning whether you belong at the level you are rising toward. You will stop wondering if you earned your place. You will stop doubting whether your strength is enough. Because you will see how every challenge shaped you, how every setback refined you, how every silent night built a new layer of resilience inside you. You will realize that you did not climb because the path was easy. You climbed because the fire inside you refused to let you stay where you were. That is why your rise feels different. It came from necessity, not from comfort. You carry a presence now that people cannot ignore. It is not loud. It is not aggressive. It is steady. It is focused. It is sharpened by everything you survived. You walk into a room and people feel something before they understand it. They feel the quiet confidence. They feel the controlled strength. They feel the discipline that has become part of your identity. They feel the weight of someone who stood up after life tried to push them down. You do not have to explain it. You do not have to announce it. The energy speaks for you. The world often misunderstands people who rise in silence. They think you changed suddenly. They think you transformed overnight. They think your strength appeared out of nowhere. But you know the truth. You fought through spaces that would have broken most people. You walked through storms that were meant to stop you. You carried weight that nobody else saw. You rebuilt yourself in moments that felt impossible. You rose slowly. You rose quietly. You rose deliberately. And now you stand as someone shaped by inner battles that the world will never fully understand. You do not realize who you became because you were too focused on surviving to notice the transformation. You were too focused on moving forward to recognize the growth. You were too focused on building your future to notice how far you stepped away from your past. But others see it. They see the power in the way you speak. They see the determination in the way you carry yourself. They see the focus in your eyes. They see the strength in your decisions. They see the steadiness in your actions. They see the rise that you have not yet fully acknowledged. One day, you will look back at the version of you who struggled, the version of you who felt uncertain, the version of you who carried doubt like a shadow, and you will feel nothing but respect, because that version of you did not stop. That version kept moving. That version kept rising. That version held the weight long enough for you to become the person standing here now. You are not who you were. You are not who you used to be. You are something stronger, something deeper, something more focused and more grounded than ever before. And the truth is, the world reacts to people who rise from the inside out. Some will admire you, some will fear you, some will misunderstand you, some will try to follow you. But none of that matters because you did not rise for attention. You rose because you had a fire to protect. You rose because you had a future to claim. You rose because you refused to let your story be written by doubt or fear or hesitation. You rose because becoming powerful was the only option left. You made that one decision the world keeps talking about. The move that looked bold. The move that looked sudden. The move that looked fearless. But they will never understand how much inner strength it took to make it. They will never understand how many nights you prepared for it. How many times you doubted yourself before taking that step. How many internal battles you fought before you found the courage to move. To them, it looks like a moment.